Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Yalek, and you're probably going to hear some birds singing over my shoulder. I've got the window open, it's a beautiful day. But we're going to let that keep happening because it's just very, very nice. So hi. I'm the guy who does the warrior thing, right? If you know me, if you come here, that's kind of my jam, right? And one of the things that I do here is I demo hits on my friend NewStudent's base. Now, I've been posting quite a few of these videos, and I guess NewStudent got a little bit, I don't want to say salty, but so he decided he set out to build a base that would really pose me some problems with my warriors. And if I can find these replays, you will see that this base really, really posed some problems, or this iteration of his base really posed problems for me. And that in itself, look, I've got two different accounts going on this guy. There's one up, the account with a 1 boosted the first round that I tried to take this down, and then down here it's the one with the ampersand in it. You will see that we got 1 win in here. We'll come back to that. Not all of these are warriors, unfortunately. With challenge attacks, you can't see what troop comps I was using. A bunch of these, all of the ampersand attacks were warrior. A bunch of these in here, right around the area of that win, were, there was Gren in there was RCCM. I used a bunch of different tactics to see what would work, because I'd more or less determined that this base, as he has designed it, is basically impossible for warriors. And I'll show you the very last full attack that I did to illustrate why I don't think this is possible. So, right off the bat, he's back to 7 ice, and he has 2 shield generators, one of the typical style bases that you would see on the leaderboard, right? This one is not typical, though, because he has arranged things very, very differently from most players you would see on the leaderboard. I don't know how you'd have to ask him, or I'd have to ask him how his base is doing against other styles, but this is specifically designed for warriors, and I'll show you what he's about. So, that's the health on everything. He's like 1.8 million or something, or more than that, 1.9 million, with everything boosted and shielded and so on. Now, he knows me, and he knows my paths, so NewStudent has placed a bunch of mines over in the places where I would typically want to be running. This corner, he has this sawmill, and that more or less makes it so that I never ever use that side. If I'm going for both shield generators, I approach from this side. So he has mined this side more heavily, knowing that I like to approach from here. And there's a reason for that, though. This sawmill being a 5x5, and in that corner exactly where it is, forces me to use an extra smoke when I go to that side, because the warriors run very wide around it, and it just always seems to force the extra smoke. So if I'm going this direction, it's usually only to take out 1 shield generator. And then either, well, I mean, you can try barding the other one. That never works for me, so I pretty much rule that out. I mean, that would be approach number 1 if it worked. Bard out a shield generator, and then just go for the other one manually. But I never, the GBE is just never there when I do that. You can't start one of these attacks with 70 GBE or 60 GBE. You know, you need a bit more in hand than that. You need 80 or 90 in order to do the 1 generator flash kill thing that I do. So ruling out barding, which means I have to work with the other 2 options. Option number 2 is to take out 1 shield generator manually, and then just go over to the HQ and work on that. Now, normally, you can arrange these bases so that you have just 1 repeated shock, and very often it will be over in this range, and as long as you have just the 1 repeated shock, you're going to get, you can get 20 or 25 seconds for your warriors to work on an HQ. You will see that NewStudent has made this a problem for me. The past iterations of this base, I was able to bard out this machine gun. Right now, you can see, again, stated preference for going to this side. Right now, you can see that this is way more than 1 shock. So if we're coming from this side, we're not really going to have to worry about this stuff. That'll be taunted. That might be taunted also. This laser beam, though, is going to be a problem, as will the flamethrower right next to it. This is a problem. This is a problem. This is a problem. This is also a nuisance, so if we're shocking things, we might as well get the mortar along with this other cluster of stuff up here. And then we have a machine gun and flamethrower over here. This, I said, is usually going to be taunted. So, past iterations of this base, I would just BART out this machine gun, and then one repeated shock up here, giving my warriors the time to work through the other half of this god-awful shield, right? Well, so NewStudent went out of his way, in addition to making his mines more and more of a pain, as he refines his defense against me. We'll talk about mines in a second, I guess, but yeah, he's just added these shocks up, and in particular, so I can still BART this, and this stuff usually ends up taunted, but that leaves me with 2 shocks. And I can do 2 shocks, and then usually I have enough GBE for a 3rd shock, but that's a problem, because then I have to choose where it goes. The 3rd shock, I generally put back up here, because this is all nasty stuff, and that shock launcher will shut down my attack in a hurry. However, the problem is, so will this laser beam. The flamethrower is a minor problem over here, but the laser beam just fires right along my line of warriors, and it does major, major damage. So it's a real problem. So that method really doesn't work, because my warriors end up getting chewed up before having the amount of time that they need to finish off this HQ. And then let's talk about the mines. So finally, I think it's the 3rd to last attack. I think the last 2 attacks here are just GBE. That's where I was trying again to BART down the shield generators. It just doesn't work. Anyway, so I think the 3rd to last attack was my final version of this. And I've tried this like 50 different times, and this is the best I can come up with. I'm trying to save as much GBE as possible here, while clearing as many mines as possible, because his mines are a pain. There's a shock mine over here, and then there's a shock mine over here. This one absolutely has to go. Look, I'm using a sort of a junk landing there. I don't know if you call that. It's not one of my standard landings, but I don't even have the GBE for one more flare. The one extra flare that I would use to flare to the corner down here, don't have it, because I need so much GBE for smoke. And this is, I figured out this method, which was to conserve GBE, because this gets me to the HQ with enough GBE for 1 medkit and 1 shock, and it's still not enough. Execution-wise, this is about as good as you could possibly be doing. Look at the smokes. The smokes are all lined up, but those shock mines are a pain. He is using shock mines correctly. This is what you do with your shock mines. They are very well placed for stopping my warriors in inconvenient spots, and then forcing them to lag behind and then get picked off as smokes expire. Very, very nasty placement. But I can't deal with them because I don't have the GBE for it. So, again, all of this is about as... this was about as clean as you can possibly get on this hit. So there's the 1 medkit. And there's the 1 shock. And I'm still just going to get toasted here. Wrecked. I think you can see pretty quickly. I mean, this is eating warriors, this is eating warriors, this is eating warriors. I can't taunt again because I have 1 GBE left right here. That's it. So, there you have it. Nasty mines and continuous damage just ringing the HQ. Filthy. I think this is actually impossible for warriors. I don't think this is, at least this is a 6 GBE 3 damage account, 631. You need more GBE, but that's going to cost you something somewhere. So what are you going to sacrifice? Damage? Then you don't have the damage to take down these HQs. It's a real problem. I think it well might be impossible. You know what did work, though? In all of these fails, the 1 win that I did get, take a wild guess. Fucking tanks. Of course it had to be tanks. I'm looking at this, and I thought to myself, just, alright, what would I do against a normal base that had protos like this. I see 2 shields, they're not shooting at me, and a laser beam. Laser beam is not a real problem for tanks. So, straight up T-mid. My buddy Perrins is going to love that. So, the problem is, and I think this base also has a pretty big Grenmed susceptibility from back here, if you could get back to this corner where the shield is. So you finally design a base where you can stop any warrior attacks from coming in, and you're just going to get team-edited to death. Because if I'm seeing this, then anybody should be able to do this. Because I mean, I do have offensive statues, all offensive statues, but beyond that, I'm really not very good with tanks, and I've said that 10 million times. So you finally design a base that is impervious to warriors, and lo and behold, it turns out that it's the tanks that are gonna get you. That's the game. That's Boom Beach for you. So anyway, if you want to design an anti-warrior base, that's the way to do it. There you go. Get yourself a screenshot. And I'm assuming at some point he'll have to go back to a more traditional kind of layout, and then we can go back to doing the thing that we like to do. But anyway, in the meantime, that's a hell of a base design, and I officially cannot beat it with my warriors. I'll catch you guys later.